Hello everyone. In today's class, we are going to discuss Unit 9, Environmental Economics and Demography. Environment as a public good. First one is definition of a public good. A public good is a good that satisfies two main properties. Public good have two main properties. One is non-excludability. No one can be excluded from its use even if they don't pay for it. First one is non-excludability. That no one can be excluded from its consumption if they are not paying for it. Second one is non-rivalry. One person's use of the good does not reduce its availability for the others. If one is using it, it does not reduce the other's consumption. That was non-rivalry. Public good has two properties. First one is non-excludability and second one is non-rivalry. Why environment is a public good? Environmental resources are actually public goods because of their non-excludability and non-rivalry in consumption. We say that environmental goods are having the properties of non-excludability and non-rivalry. This means that none can be excluded in consumption and one person's use of public good does not benefit from its any less. It says that no one can be excluded from its consumption and if one is using, it will not reduce the quantity of others using. Example, clean air, water, biodiversity. These are the examples for environment as a public good. The problem with the public good is that the free rider tendency may easily lead to their overuse or degradation. If they are not paying for it, they use more. This leads to free rider problem. If free rider problem says that if we are not paying for it but we are consuming it in a large amount, this leads to overuse of that resources and degradation of that resources. Next one is free rider problem. Free rider problem. People can enjoy the environmental good without paying. They have no incentive to contribute to its protection. If they are not paying for it, they will not take any initiative to protection of that item. This leads to overuse and under maintenance of that resources. This leads to overuse and degradation of that resources. As a result, market fail to price environmental goods properly. This leads to degradation of that commodity, that item leads to market failure. Environmental goods pricing was difficult. That was free rider problem. If we are not paying for that environmental goods, we do not take an initiative to protection of it. That leads to market failure and depletion of that resources. Government's role. To address the issue, government's intervention became essential. To solve the market failure, government intervention is essential. Government can impose piggyback tax on polluters, offer subsidy for environmentally friendly technologies, regulate pollution levels, and provide certain environmental services publicly. Government's role was important for in that situation. Government can impose piggyback taxes for polluters, offer subsidy for environmental friendly technologies, regulate pollution levels, and provide certain environmental services publicly. That was government's role. What is market failure? Market failure occurs when the free market is not able to allocate resources in a best possible way, acting instead to create a suboptimal outcome such as environmental ruin or resource depletion. Market failure occurs when environmental resources are not allocated efficiently. This leads to depletion or environmental ruin or resource depletion. That leads to market failure. Such environmental ruin and resource depletion. Market failure usually arises from what economists call externalities. The cost or benefit of economic transactions that are not included in price paid by the buyer or received by the seller. This was called as externalities there because the buyer or seller are not paying for it. The negative externalities such as pollution lead to a cost on the society that is not borne by the producer. Example for negative externality is pollution. If the polluter is not paying for it, but the society will suffer due to that pollution. That was negative externality. The case of positive externality such as education, benefits are acquired which are not accounted for the market. Example for positive externality is education. If we are providing good education, the people is getting more idea and they are developing their own skills. Government intervention is needed to correct market failure and generate better results. So government intervention is needed to resolve the issue of market failure. Next one is Coase Theorem. The Coase Theorem, developed by economics Ronald Coase, is a fundamental concept in environmental economics. Coase Theorem was developed by Ronald Coase. It was the fundamental concept in environmental economics that addressed the problem of externalities, cost or benefit that affect the third party who are not involved in the transaction. It leads to the cost that was beared by the society or third party who is not involved in the transaction. The theorem states that if property rights are clearly defined and the transaction costs are zero or negligible, then private parties can negotiate solution to the externalities among themselves. If property rights are clearly defined, then we can go for negotiation between that two parties, leading to an efficient allocation of resources without the need for government intervention. So, negotiation between the parties lead to efficient allocation of resources and there was no need for government intervention. For example, if a factory pollutes a river used by the fishermen and both have well-defined legal rights. If a factory was polluting the river that was used by the fisherman, if both that factory and the fisherman have legal rights, then they can bargain a mutual beneficial agreement. They can go for a mutual beneficial agreement such as factory paying the fisherman compensation or reducing pollution depending on who hold the rights. This says that they can go for negotiation like factory was paying compensation to that fisherman or factory may reduce its pollution. It was based on that criteria and circumstances. The theory has some practical limitations. In the real world scenario, transaction costs are rarely zero due to factors like large number of affected peoples, lack of information, bargaining power imbalances, and legal or administrative hurdles, while environmental goods involving a large number of users or global commons. Collective negotiations became impractical. These theories was practically some limitations. In the real world scenario, transaction costs may not be zero. There are large number of people affecting or they have lack of information, bargaining power differences, and legal and administrative hurdles by implementing that laws, and that environment good was utilized by large number of peoples, that like common goods like street lights. Collective negotiation may not be practicable. In that situation, collective negotiation may not be practical. Though the Coase theorem highlights the importance of property right and private negotiation, government intervention is often necessary in practice to manage environmental externalities effectively. That Coase theorem mainly focuses on property rights and how to solve these environmental issues using negotiation, but it has some limitation. So government intervention is necessary to solve that environmental externalities problem. That was Coase theorem. In this class, we discussed about Coase theorem, what is market failures, what are the problems facing the environment as a result of human exploitation, what is public good, what are the characteristics of public good. These are the topics we discussed in today's class. If you found this section helpful in any way, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.